Former Texas Congressman, host of the Ron Paul Liberty Report. Ron Paul is here. Congressman Paul, did you just hear Governor Kasich? He thinks about it a little, but not a lot, about possibly endorsing Donald Trump. How about you? You give it any thought?
Do I give it a little thought about Kasich or about myself?
About Donald Trump and supporting him.
Oh, I don't give it any thought. I know what I'm going to do. I think Kasich probably knows too, and I think it's the media that's more interested in these endorsements. I don't happen to think endorsements mean a whole lot, but it's good.
Don't you think an endorsement by Governor Kasich would be a big one?
I don't personally. I think what Donald Trump is going to say about the economy today, that's what is big. That's what counts. I mean,
okay, so fair enough, fair enough. Do you think he could say anything, Congressman, that could, have you come around? A guy like you say, all right, now he's talking. What could he say today to pique your interest?
That he's going to rein in the Fed and really rein it in and start talking about free market economics and get away from protectionism and get away from outbidding Hillary Clinton on infrastructure.
Okay,
outbidding,
but Congressman, sorry to cut you off, but by nature of the way you just answered that question, Donald Trump could say something to get you interested in him. Is that what you just told me?
If he said, if I give him my list, if I get to finish my list and he endorses me in what I believe in, of course.
All right.
But the odds of that happening are zero. We know where he's coming from, so he's not likely to do that.
All right.
We don't even know exactly where he's coming from, and one day he says one thing and one day another thing. So no, it's not going to happen. But, yes, I think the economic policies far exceeds what Kasich's going to do. I really think if the media left him alone, nobody would care. Nobody would be out there wonder what Governor Kasich is going to do. They're not worried about that. I had a campaign once where...
Congressman, I've got Harlan Hill sitting next to me. I want to bring him in to ask you a question. He happens to be a Democrat who's most recently said he supports Trump.
That's right. Well, and Congressman, don't you think that you have much more in common with Donald Trump on foreign policy than you would Hillary Clinton? I mean, she's a warmonger that supported every war that we've had since Vietnam. And for that alone, I think you have to take a look at Donald.
Yeah, I take a look at it, and sometimes he does say things. I think, well, I sure wished he was in that position, but I don't know what his position is in NATO. One day he said he wants to get rid of it, and the next day he wants to use NATO to do his bidding overseas and increase bombing and then send these countries a bill. That just doesn't add up. So I don't think he's going to bring the troops home like libertarians want. We want to get non-entangled. We don't like entangling alliances throughout the world. We don't like these constant wars. And yes, there are days when he'd say something, well, that's a little bit better, but I just don't think that. I've been fooled too many times over the years, people saying one thing and doing another. Matter of fact, that was one of the reasons I ran for Congress, is I've heard that too many times. You support people, and that's why the people are so angry. And I can't see that much would change with a Donald Trump, because he's very much of an authoritarian. He's not a softie. He's not wanting to turn things back to the people and to the states. I think he would take charge, and I'm not looking for somebody to take charge of my life or taking charge of the economy. I want people to get out of our lives.
Not the first time we've heard that from you, but I want to get to some other news this morning. The Iranian nuclear scientist had fled to the U.S. at the height of efforts to thwart Iran's nuclear program, but he then claimed to have been kidnapped by American and Saudi agents. An email sent by former State Department Special Envoy Richard Morningstar, forwarded to former Secretary of State Clinton, refers to that scientist, quote, "We have a diplomatic, psychological issue, not a legal one. Our friend has to be given a way out." Congressman, your thoughts on this, that we've been talking about this all morning?
Boy. Well, I'll tell you what, this looks like dynamite against Hillary. I mean, this whole thing about these emails that were deleted were benign. They weren't. I would think that if people would really analyze this, they'd realize how bad this really makes her look. So I just think it's horrible. And, I don't know the answer to this. I don't think anybody does. He probably was a double agent, but obviously there were people in the United States that wanted to be friendly, and Hillary's involved in that. So this is horrible. And if it turns out that this is the source of the information that indicted and had him executed, this even makes it that much worse. So I don't know how it's going to be handled, and I don't know how she'll get out of this one, but so far she's pretty good. She's pretty good at getting out of being put in a box by a lot of people.
All right.
But I think it's very, very serious, and I hope they follow through.
Okay.
Both the
Congressman
politicians and the media follow through on this.
Congressman Paul, real quick, I think the country's on pins and needles about the third parties this year because they think it actually can deter the election and throw it one way or another to a candidate. Do you think the third parties this year can play spoiler in the elections?
Oh, they could and they should have, but I don't think they've gone very well. I don't think they've done a very good job. So my prediction is that the apparent support for third parties right now will not rise. It will probably dwindle. And the whole thing will be at the end, as all these campaigns seem to be, who's the worst? That's who are we going to vote against? Who do we hate the most? And people, the hate will drive the vote, and those people who are thinking on voting on principle, either for the Green Party or the Libertarian Party, they'll start saying, oh, no, I guess I better not. I hate Hillary more than I hate Trump, so I better vote for Trump. That's what's going to happen. I wished I've been working very hard for true democracy in this country because I don't think we have it. But they're not, the third party people, the alternative parties, they're not going to be in the debates. The people don't care. And it's going to be the negative things that have driven this. And like I said, I would like to see economic policy be one of the main issues as well as the foreign policy.
We'll
that
see.
generally is not the case.
There's a couple big speeches set to be made. Donald Trump today and Hillary Clinton later this week focused on the economy. So we'll be listening for all of that. Congressman Ron Paul, good of you to be here this morning. Thank you very much.
Thank you for having me.